Miguel Dorati back in the IBOT vaults, and here we are, July 9th, the UFC 200. You got to give the UFC credit. 3 nights of fights. None of the odds, get to the 500 range. They're all under that minus 370, minus 2, whatever the number is. And sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you get widely disparate lines. And here, they've been real consistent across 3 shows. So it is the biggest weekend in UFC history. I think it could be a big betting weekend for somebody who plays their cards right. And we'll see how it goes. We're here to review the undercard fights at UFC 200 in those lines. The fight everybody's talking about in that card is Hunt and Lesnar. Obviously, in the heavyweight division, you got Brock Lesnar coming back from the UFC. Been a long time since he did UFC fights. He's coming back from the WWE, rather, and it's been a long time. But what you got is Lesnar, an underdog at plus 145 as he faces veteran Mark Hunt at minus 165. Over-under is 1.5. with the over at plus 190 and the under minus 230. Real interesting fights throughout this whole card. I mean, what more can you say? You got the bantamweights, you got former champion TJ Dillashaw returning, minus 440 favorite facing Rafael Assunção. I'm not sure Assunção. There was a day when Assunção was a real tough, unsung guy, and he's at plus 350 here. He may be tough enough to give Dillashaw a little bit of a run. I don't know if he's a live dog, but that is one of the wider fight lines of the weekend, and it may warrant a look. Moving on, we got bantamweight women. You got Kat Zingano returning. She's at minus 175 facing Juliana Pena. Pena, the underdog, plus 155. The over-under there is 2.5 with the over minus 150 and the under at plus 130. Lightweight sees a battle of veterans. I'm eager for this fight. You got Jim Miller, minus 245 favorite over Takanori Gomi. Gomi, towards the end of his career, Japanese legend. He's paying back at plus 205. The over-under is 1.5 with the over at minus 145 and the under at plus 125. Moving on up the card, welterweight, we've got Sage Northcutt, Dana White's little pet project here, and he's a minus 345 favorite trying to bounce back from a win. They dug up Enrique Marin for him. Marin a plus 285 underdog, and what you got here is the over-unders at 1.5 with the over at minus 120 and the under at plus 100. Another clash of veteran lightweights, another exciting fight. Joe Lauzon favored at minus 115 over Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez is basically a pick-up fight. Diego Sanchez at minus 105. And the over-under is 2.5 with the over at minus 240 and the under at plus 200. In the middleweight division, you got Gegard Mousasi. Very inconsistent since he's been with the UFC. I expected much more of him. He really hasn't broken through and done anything important. Here he needs a win. He's at minus 295 over Thiago Santos. Santos at plus 235. Over-under is 2.5 with the over at minus 130 and the under at plus 100. Heading into the feature fights, former champion Johnny Hendricks here. Minus 160 favorite over Kelvin Gastelum. Gastelum, a winner of the Ultimate Fighter TV show prize. He's been pretty solid heading into the UFC. Had some trouble making weight. He's back at welterweight here as an underdog. Over-under there is 2.5 with the over minus 200 and the under plus 170. And the last feature fight before you get to the main events, back in the heavyweight division, Cain Velasquez, a minus 275 favorite as he faces Travis Brown. Brown at plus 235. The over-under is 1.5 with the over at minus 105 and the under minus 115. Hey, those are the odds for the UFC 200, July 9th, Saturday pay-per-view. You might even be burnt out on watching fights after Thursday and Friday. The UFC 3 nights in a row, 3 big cards in a row. All the lines on them are relatively competitive, especially when you compare to past shows. So this is the biggest weekend in UFC history. I'm Miguel Dorati, and we'll talk to you after this weekend, after these fights.